It's 3 o'clock, so let's get our meeting to order and do the pledge. Okay, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. We'll do our roll call. Jerry Anderson.
Here.
Carol Hunt. Here. Larry Hill.
Present.
Jim Little.
Here.
Rick Shapidi.
Here.
John Pearson.
Excused.
Excused. Donetta Loomis.
Here.
Roy Brogdon.
Here.
Commissioner Freeman.
I'm here.
Mary Newman.
Here.
And we have our BSO staff here. So has everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Commissioner Freeman, do you have anything for
I
us?
do. So again, thank you for having me part of your meeting. Most of our advisory committees, the commissioners don't attend, so I appreciate you guys allowing me to attend and present. And thank you for the work you do. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is what's become our annual Veterans Facility Grant. So this is a grant program we put together a few years ago that allows us to help veterans organizations here in Douglas County that have facilities that they're struggling to maintain. So this grant has to go to a project that is a project that helps support a facility, not an organization or a service, but it actually has to go to facilities. We are using dollars out of the budget for the VSO office, and it helps us at the end of the year to make sure we expend the total amount of funds that we have appropriated to that budget. If not, the state gets fussy and wants us to do carryovers or return funding. So how we do this is about halfway through the year, Dan Loomis, the CFO, and I sit down and we sort of look at where Mary's budget is in about 6 months of use, how many vacancies she's had, what her projection is, and we estimate kind of what we believe there'll be funding available for this grant. Recognizing if we guess wrong, if our calculations are wrong, and Mary is able to hire people and somehow we have granted too much, we will do a budget adjustment and add back to her budget. So what we're doing doesn't affect her ability to hire people and provide services to veterans through her office, but it does give us the flexibility to help these veterans organizations. So last year we did about $80,000 worth of grants. The year before that, not quite that much. This year, because of Mary's great work and the fact that she's been mostly staffed through the first half of the fiscal year, we looked at doing $40,000. So a considerable cut to the program, but still an important funding stream for these organizations that really have no other mechanism of any sort of large grant funding. They work amongst themselves, they all do great work, but it's hard to keep these older facilities functioning. And we have a couple of recipients here that can speak to their particular buildings, but this will be on our agenda tomorrow to approve. So I have a group of veterans, both that are county employees and non-county employees, that I spend a little time talking to about these to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So I've called those folks and I am making the recommendation to the rest of the board to approve these 4 grant applications. So the first one is for American Legion Post 16. They have requested their grant project is update and upgrade of equipment that's over 20 years old and to buy a storage container for their facility. So the storage containers, a little over $6,000. They're gonna get a new electric range. Again, over 20-year-old Ranger replacement's about $3,000, and they're getting a new refrigerator, a little less than $900. Total grant amount, $9,895. The VFW Post 2468, their request was $30,000. They are continuing to do building expansion. The space is being expanded for their meat processing and their meat program. Some of you may know about their meat program. They've done some amazing stuff. The total cost of the project's $80,000. We're able to grant them $10,000 this year. They do have donations and fundraisers that they're working on outside of this. The Winston VFW post, 9745, is a request for $10,000, and then his building repair and maintenance and upgrade project. They want to repair and replace the floor in the main meeting room, which was damaged due to flood, to a roof leak from last year. Last year, we helped pay for the roof that they needed. They also want to do some upgrade to the kitchen to bring it up to the health department requirements. And we are proposing to grant them $10,000. American Legion Post 123 in Myrtle Creek has requested $10,000. They want to do installation. I had to practice saying that. The building is old, has minimal insulation. The second floor, as well as other areas of the building, need to be drilled open and blown insulation. The request is for $10,000, and this will only get the project started. The full estimate will be provided later, but they know it will be greater than the $10,000, and we will be granting them $10,000. So that's our Veterans Facility Program, and a total of almost $40,000. And again, that'll get likely approved tomorrow at the board meeting, and we'll get checks and grant agreements out to those veterans facilities. I wanna make sure and thank those people that are out there doing good work for veterans and helping us with our outreach program. All we ask is that when you have a veteran that needs connection to VSO services, that you send them to the county VSO office. It's an important outreach for Mary and her team. So the second thing I want to talk about, and I know I brought this up at the last meeting, is the State Veterans Home, the $35 million. I wanted to give, a couple of you heard this earlier, I'm sorry, kind of running into the same crowds, but I want to give you a quick update on what's happened to try to get our federal match portion of the funding we need for the State Veterans Home that'll be built here in Roseburg. Again, the non-federal match, $35 million, was secured in the short session of the legislature, and that money's in place now, which was a huge lift. David Brock Smith, as well as Governor Kotek, and a whole host of others weighed in to help get this done, and that money is now in place. So now we have to get a federal appropriation. Now, I'm gonna give just a quick history, and I'm not gonna give the whole history because it takes forever, but a quick history is that Oregon, a couple decades ago, got on this list and slowly worked their way up the funding list to being approved for funding for what was then gonna be the second Oregon Veterans Home. And at that time, the grant approval or the request and the making its way up the list was for a 300-bed facility in Southern Oregon. So the state put an RFP out, many communities applied, sent in a proposal. Douglas County, this Veterans Advisory Board, along with the city of Roseburg, so the commissioners of the city of Roseburg put a proposal together and did site studies, site visits, all kinds of work. And at the end of the day, there was an award given for a splitting of the 300 beds, an amendment to the grant to have 150 beds in Lebanon and 150 beds in Roseburg. So they built 150 beds in Lebanon, but have yet to build the other 150 beds. Now, the reason I bring that up, and it's important because now that we've got our non-federal match in place, we do move from list 2 to list 1, but that puts us at the bottom of list 1. And it would take 4 to 6 years in the normal funding process to move up that chain before we would get our home. I have been in contact and would encourage anybody that ever hears anybody talk about this to remind our federal partners that we have yet to fulfill our 300-bed facility that we were already granted. We were already at the top of the list for 300 beds. This 150-bed facility to be built in Roseburg, still part of that original 300 beds, and we should be at the top of the list, not at the bottom of the list. So I've had a chance to talk Since the meeting this morning, I got a chance to talk with Molly and Senator Wyden's office. I've talked to Dana Black in Senator Merkley's office. I've talked directly with Val Hoyle and directly with Cliff Bentz. I've explained this little nuance of this funding and that I don't believe we should have to wait in line again. We've already waited in line once. I'm not wanting to take more than we have coming. I'm not wanting to jump the line, but I do feel like we were already at the front of the line and we should remain there, and this project should be funded. So we're working on that. It's important. It's important for a lot of reasons. The most important thing it is back when they originally started all this, they did a needs assessment. And there was a need in Oregon, specifically Southern Oregon, for an additional 900 beds to serve veterans in the state veterans home. And again, we've only built 150. So that need's only increased. We know the needs there. Douglas County has this incredible history of honoring and serving veterans, and I believe we can do that incredibly well here. But these are facilities being built to build capacity for the entire state. So currently a veteran from Southern Oregon that goes to the Dalles or goes to Lebanon takes a slot away from somebody that lives further north. So another way of saying that is if those veterans can stay down here in a home, it opens up bed slots up north for those veterans to be in a facility closer to their home and their families. So this is about statewide capacity, and we would be honored to help with that, and we'll continue to work on that. So those are my two reports. Sorry I took a little bit of time, but there's been a lot that's gone on this last month, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Those are really awesome reports and lots of work that I know on your part from the beginning to the end, so thank you for all that you do for us.
The end is when we cut the ribbon and veterans start getting served.
I hear you. Definitely. Right, Veterans Forum. Is that Larry?
So Carol, what are we doing with Veterans Forum? She knows more than I, cause she takes minutes.
Larry was
I was absent anyway.
on Zoom last time. We have in our treasurer $986.41. Our president, Gwen Best, was invited to Salem to the High School Vikings Junior ROTC to speak, and she is encouraging us to send support money to them because we're losing our ROTCs and they're gonna go national, so we need to do something about that. We'll be talking about that next Tuesday night is our next meeting. Director Hill was not there for the meeting, and Will Wagner talked to us, and it was hair pulling time. Douglas County Commissioners, Tim talked to us about the Wreaths Across America and the Vets Home. VetNet, I have the minutes from both last month and this month. The parade meeting of Eric Bagwell worked with Dan Loomis quite well, and he's been doing the flyovers for us for the parade. Dan is busy with elections, so he was asked to take over and chair the parade. And we're about halfway there because he needs the summer off because he works, but we're really moving along. Vietnam veterans will be the Grand Marshals, and the theme is Vietnam veterans beyond 50 years, welcome home. And they are pretty excited. They were in a couple meetings I've been to today, and I'm sure they will have good floats. And we've got the insurance and stuff, so we're reaching out to get permits and then moving on, and applications are being looked at. Mary's working on the poster. So we are way ahead of normal. Rick is doing on the Veterans Memorial thing, which you'll be talking to him Stand Down, the VA has stepped in to take that over. It's gonna be on September the 11th on the VA grounds. Gwen Best is gonna be the hostess for the Memorial Day service, and that is probably 75% concluded. And on your desk is a red, white, and blue card. I'm gonna ask Mary to talk to you about that. This is a project that Gwen, Mary, and I talked about after a meeting. So I'm gonna have Mary explain it to you.
Okay, so the forum decided that it would be nice to recognize VA employees who go above and beyond to help veterans. So they came up with this little card that's a thank you card. And what we do is we give them to our veterans when they're in our office and say, is there anybody over at the VA that you would like to give this card to tell them what a good job they're doing? And all of them say yes. And they want one or two or three to take over there the next time they go. So the cards are a really good idea. The veterans are loving them, and Director Hull over there suggested that they give those cards to him so he can keep track of them.
With their
So
name on
employee
the
gets
back.
them.
Yeah, put their name on the back, and then there would be some kind of
Recognition, yeah.
What a great idea.
Morale is the lowest it has ever been since I've been at the VA in years. The lowest. So we tried to do this to create a little bit more love.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good idea. Are there
That's
any
all I have.
other, great, I mean, you covered a couple items that are already on the agenda, so awesome to you. Are there any other VA updates from anybody? I know we didn't have our VSO meeting yesterday, it was canceled. Or today, yes.
There are three of us here that are gonna meet Friday with the director.
Nice.
Four of us, and we can report on that next time.
Excellent.
that's on this.
That all kind of deals with the VA, save the VA issue.
Okay,
No, well, that could be a part of it. We can bring up,
I sent a message out to you and Gwen to come to.
yeah, he may give us an update on the strategic planning event that they had, the follow-up from the original, whatever, strategic planning event.
yeah, he was getting input from our community to develop a strategy to improve the VA, right?
Yes.
months
This
ago.
dealt with past directors, and I think this is about number 7 or 8 for me.
Number 6 for me.
I think we're dealing with a gentleman who truly has a heart. At the recognition of the Vietnam veterans event at the fairgrounds, he was emotional, spoke from the heart. All of them did. On that subject, that was an amazing event for Vietnam veterans. I'll not forget it. It was truly a welcome home. And all the people who spoke, I know the commissioners that put that together, it was perfect. Like, it couldn't have been done better. We really felt like we were welcomed home properly.
Nice.
On Save the VA, Bill Duncan has continued with our meetings. We've been kind of silent for a while, but one thing that we covered just today was, you may recall a letter that was sent from Vision 20 in response to a letter that we sent. And it was, Senator Wyden answered it, or didn't answer it, he did get it, but he hasn't replied back because Rick was one of the main writers that responded to the veterans side on the questions that were on the letter. And Senator Wyden has not responded at this point, so we're working on getting that done. Also, an important thing came up this morning that many of us had not thought of. When the veterans home gets here, we would like to know specifically what medical needs that are gonna be needed there. And that would reflect on our hospital and possibly build up that effort for getting it to be a full-service hospital. So that's something we're exploring. We're also, as Tim had explained, what's gone on in the last 12 years. Much of the public does not know anything about it, so we're gonna make an effort to get on the radio and get on News Review and tell the public what's going on, and hopefully work up a kind of a groundswell of folks that would talk to the federal, specifically Senator White and Senator Merkley, about that 65 million that we're gonna be needing, and not put it on the back burner. And as Tim said, then it slips this year, then it's gonna slip and slip. So, but I know Tim said he doesn't want any thanks, but I think at this point, all that would receive thanks is certainly he's at the head of the table. But there's a lot of folks that we're going to thank for what has happened thus far. And Director Hull is pretty specific on asking what services we would like, right?
Yes, he tasked us with that question at the last meeting. The one last month was canceled, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so it was 2 months ago.
We're getting a rapport with him, I believe.
He seems to be, his last meeting was very interesting. It was the first one I went to.
Even with disagreements, he's pleasant. So, and that's not been the case in the past, so I'm very pleased with that.
It's very encouraging.
Yes, yes.
I've met him and has a really great communication skills. And so I think that'll be a great benefit for our VA, so. Very personable and a veteran himself, so I think that affects the ability for him to lead his team.
Now, one of the requirements, if I remember, not requirements, but nice to have, is local feeder source for some of the medical paraprofessionals. And they have the junior college here, they're sending some of them up to get a BSN up in the Eugene now. But there was, what was it, that effort that they were gonna get quote unquote a little medical college going down here for certain things?
Allied Health.
Would you like me to report on this?
Yeah, yeah, and I was just wondering what the status, that seemed to have died on the vine, I know that.
So, I'm not gonna say it died on the vine, it took a different path.
Oh.
So all along from the original proposal we submitted, again, I say we because I was with the city when we did when we did the proposal, the city and the county partnered for the state veterans home. We addressed workforce concerns in that proposal, and it was a partnership with Umpqua Community College. Since then, there was a conversation about a medical education college being built. There was some appropriation from the Oregon legislature to help with that. And those dollars were assigned to the city of Roseburg to figure out how best to spend. They have started the path and entered into agreement with Umpqua Community College. So rather than build a standalone or a separate facility for medical training, they're gonna help the community college, who was already expanding programs beyond just their nursing program. They're putting a variety of other disciplines and other programs in place. They were doing that anyway with the infusion of funding from the city that came from the state for the Med Ed project. They're able to do that faster and greater. So we are absolutely in a good place to make sure that, the staffing, not just for the new state veterans home, but for the VA hospital and all the other healthcare needs in Douglas County is in a better place. Including something that's already happening and a lot of people don't know is we have a residency program that occurs right here in Douglas County. It's through Aviva. You notice they built onto their building. The county had a little piece of property left over there from the original grants that they did around the nonprofit campus. We were able to grant that property to Aviva. They went out and got funding and added onto their building and started a residency program. So they have a cohort of medical students that have graduated medical school that need to go through their residency. They do that here in Douglas County, and they have a variety of healthcare partners, facility partners, organizations that these new doctors are able to go and do their clinical and their residency with. the idea of that means that when they're getting the last part of their education to become doctors, they're doing that right here in this community. Hopefully they're building relationships and bonds and opportunities that'll keep them here in Douglas County to go to work, whether that's at the VA hospital who's partnering, Mercy Hospital, the Cancer Center, or really anywhere else in the community that needs doctors. So making sure that we're educating doctors here in rural southern Oregon is already occurring, but it's only gonna occur more with the Umpqua Community College. So I feel very confident. I just had this conversation with Dr. Daniels that we will meet the needs, the workforce needs of the hospital, the VA, and of the state veterans home. And that's one place where Douglas County is committed with our economic development work that we do. We work a lot on workforce development and infrastructure. So those two things line up very well with making sure we're helping secure whatever workforce is needed for the new state veterans home.
And they did get the accreditation back for the RN program, the federal accreditation for the RN program, so they're now employable over at VA. Because they gave it up, said it was too expensive, it didn't have anybody to gin up the numbers on the renewal, and they lost it about, what, 3-4 years ago, Jim? Yeah, and they said they weren't gonna do it, but I read somewhere that they had considered getting it redone and they've resubmitted the request.
They described that as an error.
Oh, okay.
I think there was an error made there. I don't
Oh,
think
really? Yeah,
people
'cause they-
fully understood the impact of that decision. And the new board, the board member that's there, the board that's there now describes that as a mistake.
It was there.
So they are working to rectify that.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Just to talk about Aviva Health, they actually got the Innovative Award from the chamber due to their residency program, so
Yeah,
kudos
it's a
to
big
Aviva.
thing. I
Yeah.
don't think folks realize in the healthcare world what it takes to have a residency program and the importance. You know, is it 6? I can't remember if it's 6 or 8 doctors a year.
They get 8 doctors a year, and I
Yeah.
believe they had 3 of them stay locally
Yeah.
that graduated this
So
fall.
the amount of money healthcare organizations spend recruiting doctors here, it would amaze you. I mean, it's really expensive to recruit a doctor. And the fact that there's 3 of them of that, you know, the first cohort that stayed here is pretty incredible.
It's very incredible. We certainly need physicians, it's a nationwide issue. Not just the VA. Cancer Center. I have an update, there was just a couple things from the VetNet meeting that we had last week. The only highlights that I wanted to mention, and Donetta probably will mention it, or I might be taking over something you might be saying. They are hosting a women veteran town hall tonight, this evening at 5:30 in Building 16. They also have a women's veterans focus group on April 23rd from 4:30 to 5:30 at Building 2 at the VA. So those are just the highlights that I noticed in the VetNet meeting that we had last week. That was notable to mention in our meeting today. My next agenda item is a war memorial grant.
Well, project broke ground March the 3rd, and if anyone has been outside recently, you'll see that there's a lot of activity taking place. And I wanna say that Dustin Firth, the concrete contractor, is an artist. I mean, that concrete that he poured out there is just beautiful.
And he's noisy.
And what?
He's noisy.
I can believe that.
Oh, yeah. I heard the story.
They
about-
jackhammered all that out of there.
Oh, wow.
And I may have reported this to the forum, but you here have not heard this, that we were able to acquire Mason Larry Tompkins to do the masonry work. They've been out there, they've actually finished, they cleaned the rock work, they repointed it, they fixed the broken mortar. They removed 3 of the plaques, they installed the Vietnam and the OIF, OEF plaque, those are on there. They also installed the Gold Star marker and the Blue Star marker. I delivered the 3 old plaques to the museum. And they wrote a letter of acceptance. Those are gonna be stored as historical artifacts of Douglas County. And there was some talk about, one of the aunts called me up and wanted to know about her nephew's nameplate. It was Ronald Butler's aunt, and she was gonna talk to her sister, and it was the sister of Ronnie, and I never heard from him, and I think that's not gonna happen. They wanted to get the nameplate. The flagpole holes were dug yesterday.
Wow.
They should be pouring the concrete in the next few days.
So they dug those holes with a pressure washer and a vacuum.
Yes,
And this vacuum thing is pretty cool, but man, is it noisy. But those holes are like 5 feet deep,
they are.
and because there's piping and stuff there they don't wanna dig up, they literally took the pressure washer and cut through the dirt, made it into mud, and then sucked it out of there. It was pretty
Wow.
incredible to watch.
Wow.
They also did that same process in the planter in the center of the memorial where the Purple Heart granite monument will go. They're gonna pour a footing in there. They're gonna go down quite a bit. It'll be reinforced, the monument will drop in, and then there's 2 holes in the bottom of the monument. They will put stainless steel pegs in there, and then that will be epoxied on the bottom and along the sides, you know, with a good 3 or 4 inch border to prevent it from getting knocked over. Now, the project should be completed by Memorial Day.
Yeah.
The only delay might be the wiring to the LED lights on the poles. And so what I wanna talk about today is recommendations for the rededication event. And I've spoken to this in the past. There are 3 possible days: Memorial Day, POW MIA Day, and Gold Star Mothers and Families Day, which would seem to be appropriate for this memorial. There are pros and cons for each one of them. Memorial Day, the pros are, it is Memorial Day. I mean, it would be a tremendous day to honor those 256 Douglas County sons that are on that wall. But the cons are that there are a lot of other events going on that day around the county, South County, the event at the National Cemetery. Then there's POW MIA Day, which is Friday, September 20th, the last Friday of September. The pros on that are that the POW MIA flag will be flying over Douglas County for the first time, and that we have 7 MIAs on that wall from Douglas County. And it would be an appropriate time to honor those 7 individuals. The cons are that it's on a Friday, and that might interfere with people's weekends, getting someone out there on a work day, that sort of thing. Now, the next one is the Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. That's September 29th, which is observed the last Sunday in September. The pros on that one are, we've never had a Gold Star plaque on this memorial, and it would be an appropriate time to honor Gold Star families. We have a lot of them in this county. We could invite them, you know, put a notice out, that sort of thing. But the cons are that it's on a Sunday and there might be an issue with attendance. Regardless of the date of the rededication, the acknowledgement of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice those who are MIA and honoring the Gold Star families. Thanking the state, Oregon Department of Parks and Recreation for the grant, you know, the whole thing still needs to be a focus, I think, of the dedication, so. Any talk, recommendations, thoughts?
Addressing Fridays, I mean, there's a lot of people that are off on Fridays, so I don't think that's gonna be a hindrance, as far as attendance. I would think, and Memorial Day, I think it would be, you'd definitely lose. Too much. You'd lose attendance on Memorial Day.
I really think that POW MIA day is apropos for that situation. Really do.
I do as well, but I haven't heard from Stephanie yet on the research she's doing on the MIAs. I'll try to get hot on that. I also second that, POW Day sounds like I was thinking 4th of July Day at one time, I think that's when our last dedication was, but 4th of July is
That's kind of
busy day.
So was that a motion and a second? Did I hear that?
I'll make it a motion.
Okay,
So moved.
and a second for it to be on POW Day,
Second.
So,
discussion?
discussion, yeah, I've always liked that idea from the first time I talked with Dave Palmer, the facilities manager, and he was explaining that Douglas County is out of the Oregon statute for flags, out of compliance, and that we really need a POW flag up there, and then, you know, when I discovered that we have 7 on there, and I think it's an appropriate day, I really do, so.
Any other discussion?
I don't think it's gonna rain that day either.
In the summer, good chances it'll be a nice day.
Yeah.
It's September.
It won't interfere with anybody's hunting.
So, discussion, will we make the recommendation to the commissioners from our board? And have them make the final determination?
Is that a question?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm asking is, I was talking to Tamara Howe, and Tamara really she wants to be able to advertise and promote it. She wants to put it into her, report, which is next month to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, a progress report. And also, I've been in communication with the Oregon Gardens Club, who, they're the ones that provide the Gold Star and Blue
Yeah.
Star flag.
Yeah, they are.
They wanna be invited, their organization wants to be here for the dedication. So,
Commissioner, do you have anything to say about it?
I'm happy to accommodate whatever you want. If I was picking, I'd do it at 2 o'clock on Memorial Day, but it doesn't sound like anybody wants to do that, so I'm happy to do it whenever you want.
Rick, you were on the ground floor of this, remember way back when the plaques were really misnamed and we reorganized all of them?
there's a lot of disorder. I'll tell you, records are so much better today than they were years ago, so we'll leave it at that.
All right,
Back
we
in
have
the
a
old
motion and we
days.
have a second and we had discussion. Any further discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll have it on POW Day, September 20th.
I will let Tamara know.
Pick a time.
Did you have any?
That's what
And that's it for my report.
Thank you.
wow.
Donetta?
Well, the last meeting that we had, I was not here. I went to Living History in Sutherland, which is a really good chance to be able to sit down and talk to our youth about veterans and our experiences, and also I think it builds patriotism and stuff for them. When I went though, I was only one of 2 females. So I would challenge other females to come to Living History Day. It's a nice event, they honor the veterans, they provide a lunch and everything for the veterans, and you get to talk to lots and lots of students. I got a chance to go up to the fifth floor of the VA and talk to the woman's director about the possibility of gearing up more stuff for women veterans in the community. Before COVID, there were quite a few things they did, and they don't do them anymore, quite a few different events. There was like a health stand down day, which is different from the stand down day that they had. They had like teas and just a lot of things that actually hikes, stuff like that. So they're working on it. They have programs where they're trying to get them up and going. Little bit of problem with getting the information out. So I gave them some suggestions, and they're working on ways to try to get that information out to the community so that they could have more events going on. And then there's a town hall meeting tonight that I'll go to. Report next time on if there's anything to report.
Thank you. Are there any other VAC members?
I have a
Yes.
comment. I was talking to Bill Duncan. He said he's gonna be talking to someone in South Douglas High School that they may possibly bring a veterans event to that high school.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Would be good.
Any other VAC reports? Advisory committee reports? All right, Mary, you're up.
Okay, I had a couple of kudos this month, mostly verbal, but there was one card. And at the pinning ceremony, that was really an honor to be there. There was one veteran a couple of veterans said thank you, which I just tell them they deserve it because they do. And then I was at the post office getting my passport paperwork done, and a veteran came up and said, just thank you for all you've done for me, and you saved my life.
Oh,
So that was
Wow.
special. And so the outreach activities that we've done, our office will be closed on May 12th. Becky and Maria will be there doing what they do, but the Veteran Service Officers will be at the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers yearly training. So then we're still doing Reed Sport outreach. Reno goes there at least once a month. If there's an overflow of requests for appointments, then we go the second Tuesday. Well, another Tuesday besides the first one. And we've had many trainings every month from Oregon County and Tribal Veteran Service Officers Association. Becky listens in on the VetNet meeting for us. And I am part of the Oregon County and Tribal Veteran Service Officers Training Committee. And I got an email from National Association a couple weeks ago asking me if I would be the secretary.
okay, what?
So I said yes. I would run. I wouldn't be it.
Volunteer.
I mean, yeah. So Reno has a report on statistics, so.
Hi. So we're wrapping up our third quarter back in March there, and we had a busy third quarter. So just to give you an idea, we submitted as a whole in our office 669 claims, resulting in a total awards back to the community for veterans of $5.5 million. So that's pretty cool because that's the highest I've seen it since the 2 years I've been here. But it's a great staff that we have, and we're just getting a lot of work done. So
That's awesome.
That's great.
yeah, so that's,
You're working
That doesn't do your new employee hard, huh?
Oh yeah, we're putting it through the grinder, so.
That doesn't include, we don't get the statistical information from St. Paul VA, which does all of the non-service connected pension claims and all of the surviving spouse claims. We don't have those statistics to add in there.
Wow.
That's amazing, thank you.
We did 225 brand new claims.
Yeah, so just a quick breakdown, so brand new claims, nobody's ever submitted a claim before, 225. We did 93 supplementals, that means somebody had a claim that was previously denied. And then they had new evidence to bring forward to open that claim, so we did that. Higher level reviews were 22, that's basically when we get a decision back that we don't agree with, that we feel the VA missed a piece of evidence or information on. Notice of disagreements, that's gonna be your appeals, we submitted 4 of those during the quarter. And survivor benefits, unfortunately, this is part of it also, is 22 of those, so that's 22 veterans that passed on and their dependents are getting the benefits now. And then luckily only use a few pensions. Pensions are an income-based award, a very low income-based for wartime veterans. We've only had a few of those, we've been more successful with our compensation benefits and 15 burial benefits. So, any questions?
I'd challenge all the board members to, when you come in contact with anybody in the
Yeah.
community, I went back and I counted, I've got about 18 notches in my gun from guys that I almost had to drag down to see me. But they're out there.
Oh, they
We need the numbers. We really-
Every week there's somebody that comes in news says, I didn't know anything about you guys.
Yeah.
And you know, there's other people taking advantage of veterans for their compensation and it's never too late. We still have Vietnam veterans coming in filing their first claim. I've had a Korean War veteran coming in filing his first claim in his 90s, so just tell everybody you know. Just come see us if anything.
I worked the sportsman show with the military real hard for the 3 days, and I had a number of the cards from your office, and I was surprised how many veterans have no idea, even that they're entitled to benefits.
Yeah.
And so I was able to pass out 2 or 3, and hopefully they showed up. They said they would. So I would recommend keep those cards if you go to events.
Yeah, definitely. It seems to be word of mouth gets around more than anything else.
The key is communications.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rita.
All right, thank you.
You don't know.
Okay, so as Carol said, on the parade committee, I'm kind of in charge of getting the poster done. So I put some things together and I gave them to Tamara.
Oh,
She does a great
Delegation,
job.
that's why you'd be in charge.
Good.
So the cremains bill, you all know that passed, and then it's still going through kind of language things. But it will be ready July 1st, of course. But because of that bill, that's not even a law yet, there was one mortuary up in Multnomah County that this woman who was up there had been bugging them for a couple of years about letting her find the veterans that were in there. So they finally let her in. And she had a couple of friends that went with her, and they found 40 veterans. And they're gonna have a burial at Willamette National on June 1st. Already talked about the thank you cards that the forum started, and Reno touched on these organizations that are taking money from veterans. There's one organization called Trajector, where a Douglas County veteran went to them. He was already 100%, which is 1,700 or something like that, and because of what they did, he got 100%, but now he owes them $11,000.
Wow.
That's
So-
horrible.
Is that local?
No, I think they're in Texas. And then another one of our veterans owes one of those organizations,
Veteran was local, wasn't it?
Veterans Local.
Yeah.
But the organization was Texas.
Right. Another local veteran owes another organization $9,000. And he didn't even get an increase. He was already 100%. He
Why would
wanted
he
to add the
talk to
PAC
him?
DAC things, didn't come to us, still is 100% and owes $9,000.
We need to get
Wow.
So,
How is that even legal?
And advertise on TV.
yeah,
They've got.
those and they're online.
Just
Oh, yeah.
Google about that.
Yeah. So, that's all I have, I think.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You guys do a wonderful job in your office, and thank you to your entire staff for doing an amazing job.
They're all amazing.
Any other business? Yes,
I
Larry?
just got one thing. I've got applications here for the Legion Law Enforcement Camp at Camp Wailea, okay? It's $300. Right now, the post can't really afford the sponsorship. Anybody can sponsor someone, just funnel it through us so we can take care of the administrative information. I've got applications and I've got a flyer here, so.
Do you have anybody interested?
All we have to do is advertise. I just got this week.
I'll sponsor one.
Okay, good, I'll give you the paperwork and everything else. Don't sponsor your own grandkids, nephews, nieces, whatever, but anything else is fine, and they list what they get to do. They do law enforcement, they got patrols, cyber crimes, they do forensic anthropology. These kids eat it up, they really do, and it does make a difference.
We got the grant from the Elks.
I know you did, yeah.
Joan.
Oh, I'm now the Elks Veterans guy, and Zalda Ruler had an opportunity to get $1,000 grant. So I said, got just the person to talk to. So we got Carol and her together, they got the $1,000 grant, and she's gonna use it to help everybody out on deployment and families and holidays and so forth and so on. And it'll be divided into two different $500 pots or something, I guess, and they just have to report back, but that was a nice grant that we accumulated there. And it's always nice to know the Elks are doing their thing with the veterans too.
Excellent.
Do you wanna report on Reese Cross America?
I can report again on that you guys,
Well, I just, I know you reported last time, I don't know if everybody realizes that it was $60,000 that Commissioner Boyce went out and raised, and that those wreaths have been ordered.
we got
and-
100%, right?
Well,
Or almost?
he left, they decided collectively to leave 500 for the Sea Cadets to go sell. I mean, they're gonna get the proceeds, so they wanted them to have a little bit of skin in the game, so my sense is they'll get all of them sold, so yeah, there'll be 7,000, but the next step now is the logistics of dealing with 7,000 wreaths. So, last year there was just over 700, I think the biggest year there might have been 800. So everything from storing them, a week or so before the event to hauling them to the cemetery, to placing them, just dealing with the containers they come in. There's literally will be piles and piles of boxes that they've come in, and then eventually taking them down and transporting them out to the landfill. So a lot of logistics that's being worked on. We've approached several big trucking companies. We think that might be an avenue for us to use. Commissioner Boyce used his car trailers, enclosed car trailer. They completely filled that up with 700. So it would literally take 10 or 11 big car trailers like that. I mean, that's logistically how much room 7,000 wreaths is gonna be. So I think there'll be a conversation amongst the committee, possibly to place some of those the day before. Just logistically might make sense, then hold back some to place the day of the event. Just for we don't wanna be out there 10 hours the day of the event placing wreaths.
Have you entertained contacting the school
So
district kids to do that?
I'm not part of the committee. I think there's several ideas. You start dealing with logistics of a couple hundred kids and the efficiencies of that. I'm not And if I was asked, I'm not sure that's what I would do. I'd probably do more of the work the day before and maybe even have some paid staff help with that.
Maybe
We'll
the
see.
National Guard,
What's that?
the National Guard.
Maybe.
They'll still be here.
So anyway, it's exciting, but with that excitement brings some logistic challenges that we wanna show plenty of grace to the committee that's working on that, cause they've gotta work through that now. Commissioner Boyce was excited about going out and raising that money, but now he's gotta be part of the solution for the logistics problem. You create the problem, you gotta solve it, so.
Who's the head of that committee?
Well, John Pearson normally is ahead of it, but John's having his own issues, so I think the rest of the group is having to step up and figure that out.
Well, thank you for that report.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, yes.
Tammy, on the 29th was Vietnam War Veterans Day, Friday before last, and the Salvation Army contributed a wreath. So I went out to the cemetery and myself and Dan Carver, we posted it by the flagpole and I said a few things. I told Dan a war story and he listened to all of it. And we did that, but it was heartwarming for me because I think that was a good thing that we did. Also, my wife and I had a personal tragedy that occurred last month, and I can't believe all the folks that came forward and to help us and to offer encouragement that really got us through that effort, and it's reached a good solution. But I just wanted to say that this community is one I envy Jerry. He was born here and this is his community. I had grandparents that lived here and other relatives, but I wish that this was my original hometown, but it is definitely my hometown. And it's largely because of the folks that run our county too. That has so much to do with it, our cities and our county. It's just an amazing place to live. And I can't talk about the beauty of living here enough. It's just, and all you people here are part of that. You're our friends that have become family. So there, I got off my soap.
There you go.
I got off of it.
Thank you. I know, we do have a great community here. Any other good to order? All right, that being said, adjourn.